Welcome back to another episode of Grabbing the Brisket. Tonight, we're honored to have a true legend of barbecue join us. He's a 6-time world champion, the first to win the American Royal Invitation and the Open. It's a mastermind behind the Cool Smoke barbecue competition team, also known as Professor in his ridiculous and science-driven approach to barbecue, which has earned him accolades all across the globe. It's all guys. I'm excited for this interview coming up here in a minute.
This big one. This is a big one. You think about the Mount Rushmore barbecue. Anybody that creates one of those, this guy's gonna be on it.
Yeah.
Tuffy Stone's huge, man.
Yeah, I know, man. This is obviously we've had a chance to talk to him and hang out a little bit at different events we've been to, but this is definitely unique. And obviously we want to do this in person a couple of times, but every time we've gotten a chance to do this, it's last time he was manning looked like a 500-gallon pit, and he was serving about 300 different appetizers.
Right.
And it just didn't lend well for us to meet up. And he came by, and the fact that he even acknowledged, it's like, hey man, I'm sorry, whatever. Yeah. I know. And that's just kind of cool. And then of course, when we were at the live fire, open fire meetup in Hondo with our boy Alfregoni, that was amazing. He didn't really expect to get it was almost like a pop in.
Kind of got ambushed a little bit.
And that's what you got to do sometimes. You got to say, hey, by the way, this is being recorded, right? And just show the microphone like, you see it, right? Don't say anything crazy.
You should have like a manual disclaimer, just like a piece of paper that I just roll underneath right in between you guys as being videoed.
No, you're exactly right. Yeah. Give me a little like a little a little action.
Old-timey movie. Yeah.
Clap.
Yeah, let's go.
No, man, this is go ahead, James.
Yeah, no, I was we started a little late today, so we had some intro to get to before the interview, but we'll get into that the rest part of the episode later. after we get finished with interviewing Tuffy, because we got a lot to get to, a lot to unpack, so to speak. The Shed Showdown that we were a part of this past weekend was so awesome.
So fun.
It was. We had a blast, and honestly, it's probably going to take like at least 3 or 4 episodes to unpack like everything that we were a part of and we got to experience. I mean, not to mention like the late night sesh that happened. And honestly, it's probably stuff that we can't talk about.
Oh, we talk about everything.
Yeah, it is.
Everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They know we're media.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's true. I mean, but it was fun.
Yeah. We've got a source inside. It tells you, it tells you every single thing that happens late night at the shed. Yeah, we're your guys.
Yeah, okay? I was wearing a GoPro on the chain, so we got a video coming.
Yeah, just like an audio, like a lapel mic. Just like, can you speak into this?
Say that one more time.
Hey, Raul, do we have anybody? Is our feed up as far as our people in our thing? How do we see that? Just curious.
Yeah. This is a little bit earlier than we usually we're not starting for like 2 hours. So
no, I know.
A lot of folks still at work, I think.
There are. If you're on your way home and you're listening to us, please don't wreck. It's been a lot of crazy weather been out there. We've experienced our fair share of the snowpocalypse that has covered the entire south of the United States. It seems like from Texas all the way to Florida has been engulfed in snow, which is amazing. Florida's got, I think somebody said 10 inches of snow in some places, which is truly amazing. Also, if you've got, there is a little bit of a delay that we have right now on our audio and our voices. We do recognize it. We thank you for staying with us and not pointing it out and laughing at us too much. But we will definitely get this situated soon. Sorry, Roll, man. Sometimes you gotta own it before they own you.
Hey, fuck you.
Yeah, that's it, right? See, there it is. No, man, you're exactly right. It's just last couple of days have been kind of hectic for everybody. Staying at home, not working, snow days, if you want to call them that.
Right.
We had a lot of guys at work that really worked their butt off at home, and so it's amazing to see that, because they had the opportunity. They could have just kind of did what they wanted to do, and so it was cool to see everybody kind of online working and just doing what they can do while they're at home.
Yeah,
so.
Especially during this like type of event that we experienced, like you mentioned earlier. Like, this is not something that we're used to. This is not something that happens on a normal occasion of having snow and ice and all that type in Houston. At one point I saw a guy snow skiing in Galveston.
Oh,
Yeah.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is the wildest thing that I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know. There was a dude getting pulled on snow skis behind a truck on one of the freeways. I don't
Yeah.
know which one it was, but it was crazy.
Yeah. And please, if you're above, like, what would you say above what part of the states, just don't make fun of us. It's not our fault. We're not used to this type of stuff.
Well, I was going to say, like, in any other part of the country, it snows, and they're like, yeah, okay, let's go shine the what do you call them, the snowboards, snow sleds, or whatever else, and let's go down a hill. For us, we go to the freeways. All right, we don't have that type of
Just donuts in
open.
the freeway.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Wait, there were freeways, surfing. There was Kima Bridge. I saw somebody doing the Kima Bridge. They were skiing down the Kima Bridge, and that was kind of cool. You saw somebody in Galveston doing the same thing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's what we do.
Well,
It's a little redneckery.
There's
shit
a
happening.
hill at our local park over here, and I saw all kinds of folks walking over there.
Mhm.
They were all sledding down the hill, but nobody had a sled. I saw no sleds. I
Yeah.
saw like those little blue plastic kiddie pools.
Yeah.
Saw a couple of those.
Okay.
Like the, what do you call them? Like the
Tubes?
Rubbermaid bins. I saw a couple of lids for those.
Yep.
I saw lots of tubes. I saw other like pool floating devices. People were dragging down the street.
I
was
can't-
just like,
I
what is
saw
that?
luggage.
Yeah. I
I saw
can't.
snowboards.
That was the weirdest
I saw
luggage.
snowboards.
Did you? Okay.
Snowboards, yeah.
And then I saw a buddy of mine who posted a video who was, it was like a 1970, 80s snowmobile, and he was riding it down the road.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I personally took it as a challenge to barbecue. I'm like,
That's
this is not going to stop me from
Mm.
like firing up the grill. I'm going to cook something.
I was just going to make that point just now that that is something that a lot of people talk about. Like, it's too cold. In the winter season, we're not barbecuing, and it didn't really matter what the temperature was outside. The entire time, I'm like, can we let the pit up? Let's cook something. It's just an opportunity to get outside, and it doesn't really matter if it's cold for us. It's always hot and miserable. So being cold sometimes can be bearable. But yeah, that was just an idea. Like, man, we should be outside cooking. This is
Kind
cool.
of treated it like a party, like a hurricane.
Yeah,
what
Amy
we
came on real quick and said that not many people could handle our heat. Yeah.
That's right.
That's accurate.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right, Amy. Hey, so we have Tuffy on. It's 5.
Yeah, any minute now he'll be
He,
jumping
he
on.
should be coming in. Okay.
Hey, Christine jumped on and I should have sent y'all our -2 temp.
Dang, Christine.
-2. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's all about, we don't have bad weather. We just don't have enough or the right clothing. Right.
Oh, I think
Right.
we got Tuffy waiting in the wings. Is he?
Yeah. Hey,
the-
is
There
there a
he
way
is.
to like manipulate this screen to where I can just like have the background blacked out like you have on yours?
Yes, there
Should be.
probably
Raoul,
is.
is there a setting?
There
On
probably
his
is a
end?
I don't know on his side.
There
I'll
probably
be
is a
honest. With you.
background setting. Says background
Hey.
or
Amy said she didn't get no barbecue. I do not know as far as his side.
All right, we'll just
Uh,
leave it as. Don't worry about it.
okay.
Looks amazing.
Yeah, man.
How are y'all?
We're doing fantastic. We're thawed out. The freeways are open and everybody's running 70 miles, 80 miles an hour already.
How was Mississippi? Y'all were down at the shed Showdown, weren't you?
We were. It was I tell you what, I've never been to that event before, and it's something now I think I can't imagine myself missing one, at least for a couple of years. It was just that much fun to hang out with those guys.
I've been there a number of times. I felt bad that I couldn't make it this year, but Brad and Brooke are always crazy fun.
Yeah, I mean, they really they're a pair. They remind me a little bit of James and I, since we're brothers. That you definitely have one that's a little more conservative than the other, but they're both equally a little wild, a little crazy in their own right. So, but truly, they're humble, they're amazing, they're friendly.
Mhm.
I don't think they've ever met anybody they didn't know. I mean, within 2 seconds, you're friends, and that's kind of cool.
Absolutely.
So how's the weather where you're at?
It is cold. We had a little misty in the snow 2 nights ago. We've had snow a couple times before that, but the roads are clear. There's no snow on my windshield, and other than cold, we're doing pretty good. Knock on wood right now.
Nice. No, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. I just honestly, I'm just going to say it's a pleasure to have you on this podcast. It's something that we've thought about and we've hoped, and we know you're a busy guy, but but
Yeah,
definitely
but what
appreciate
y'all are
you
doing,
taking
your
the time.
podcast, what y'all are, hey, by the way, congratulations. I see y'all got a couple awards at the MBBQA.
Yes,
Giving
sir.
Yep.
recognition to a job well done. So that's awesome. But anyways, we're long overdue, and we get to see each other sometimes, and uh, sometimes it seems like I'm busy doing something, and y'all are busy doing something else. But anyways, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
No, that,
we mentioned it earlier a little bit. We kind of ambushed you at the open fire meetup and just stuck a camera in front of your face and and a microphone. So we appreciate you we appreciate you obliging us a little bit. And also we thank you for being here, a part of the Grabbing the Brisket podcast. We were talking a little bit about the weather earlier. Um, and you come from, well, I guess we'll get into like the beginning, the origins, so to speak, of how you got into barbecue. But we were just talking about weather, and I wonder, like, what's your approach, especially doing competitions and maybe coming into weather that you experience a little bit like snow. How do you combat that? How do
Well,
you
it's really important in outside cooking. I wrote about it in my cookbook. I teach it in my classes, and whether it be cold weather or wind or rain, or hot weather, all those things can impact uh, how our cook goes when we're cooking outdoors. And I've had so many lessons learned cooking in the weather, and it's just helped me. Those experiences make us, do a better job once we run into it. Uh, when it gets really windy out, I will sometimes try and I've got so many stories, and we don't have enough time, but like I've got a story about wind impacting my cooking out in Great Bend, Kansas. I've got a story about cold weather. The first time that I won the Jack Daniels, the Jack, it got down to 27 degrees, and you're down there in the holler, and you're by the creek, and it's low land, and it's damp. And I told my dad, I said, Dad, I want you to run the pit 50 degrees hotter because it's going to get cold. And even though we raised the pit temperature, usually my briskets are coming off at like 9:30, 10 at the latest in the morning. I had one brisket go till 12. Um, you've got to turn in a minimum of 7 portions at the Jack. So I had to turn in 7 ribs. It was all I could do to find 7 tender ribs off of 4 racks of ribs, and the presentation looked so bad because they were coming from all these different, and all the ribs that I didn't turn in, my wife and my dad and everybody were eating the ribs. They said, "The ribs are tough. The ribs are tough." And I said, "I think the ribs that I turned in were tender." And we pulled a 2nd place in ribs, and we won the contest. But I think we really need to think, so what do we do about cold weather? I mean, we're probably going to run our pit or our grill a little hotter. It's probably going to take a little bit longer for that grill or that pit to come up temperature. Myron used to put blankets on his pits really during cold weather. I mean, but anyways, I would just, and things might take a little bit longer too. I got lots of sayings, and one of my sayings is it's better to be looking at it than looking for it. So whether you're doing a competition, doing a catering, doing a vending job, or just cooking for your family, in cold weather, I'd probably give it a little bit more time to get to done.
okay?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. One thing that I have is it's called anxiety, and I tend to I tend to really, when I get in my own head, and especially when the timetable is being moved, and there's nothing, nothing you can do about a piece of protein or piece of meat that's not, it's not ready yet, and it's not ready, and you're watching the clock, and you're like, well, I want to rest for so much time. I want to be able to put it back on and glaze for a little bit more time, and it's just getting there to that the optimal tenderness and temperature. And I've got this inherent way of looking at it early on, and then I'm immediately trying to stoke it to 500 degrees, right? Which is obviously not what you want to do. And I've got one cook off where I'm throwing logs on, and James is coming behind me and he's pulling logs off, and I come back around and I'm like, I just put logs on here, right? And so I'm throwing more logs in, and I walk off, and I turn around, and James is walking over there, and he's pulling the damn logs back off. And he's like, I look at him, he goes, "You're just stop. You're doing too much. let the pit do what the pit's going to do. We're going to be fine. And sometimes that's, you know, especially when you're cooking for yourself or at home, you can go to 11 o'clock before your family eats, right? You know, you can order takeout and whatever, but in a competition, you've got to, you got you've got the timetable to adhere to. And that's, I've got a hard problem with that sometimes.
Well, you know, you mentioned the word anxious. I promoted 2 of my chefs at our catering company, one to executive chef and one to sous chef a number of years back. And so after I had offered the positions and they had accepted them, we were in my cooking school, and it was the 3 of us meeting. And I asked them both. I said, "Are y'all nervous?" And they both said they were nervous. And I said, "Good. I do some of my best work nervous." I think sometimes you got to have a little bit of anxious edge to these things to do a really good job.
No, I 100%. So we were kind of looking at, you know, obviously we try to do our homework and, you know, just being around you a little bit, but really trying to figure out, you know, what really the background is and everything else. And one of the things that I didn't know is that you're French trained, and so you went the opposite direction. A lot of guys get into barbecue and they're going at it from, you know, a friends or a family, or they get on a team somewhere and they really like it and they go off and start their own team. But you're a classically trained chef that went into barbecue. What kind of spawned that for you?
Well, first of all, Chef Alon, he lives about 3 blocks over there.
Okay.
And so I did 4 years in the Marine Corps active duty. Got out of the Marine Corps, moved to Richmond, Virginia. Had saved up enough money to go to college, but I didn't have enough money to pay rent and groceries and those kind of things. So I had to work while I was going to college. And I started off working in the front of the house, tending bar and waiting tables. And anybody in the restaurant business, generally speaking, the money's usually better in the front of the house than it is in the kitchen. And I had a roommate, and we had a modest collection of cookbooks. My grandmother had given me some sourdough starter, so I was baking sourdough bread 3 times a week. And just really, we would go and get groceries and make good dinners, and just we enjoyed the hobby of cooking. And as I started down this path, I started thinking, you know, it might make more sense for me to work in the kitchen in the restaurant. And I always thought it was just going to be a hobby. I felt like being able to cook was always going to be a skill set that would serve me well in life. But I never thought about it in terms of a way to make a living. So I researched all the chefs in Richmond and the restaurants. I made a prioritized list. At the top of the list was a Frenchman named Chef Alon. He had a restaurant called La Maisonette. And I was pretty fresh out of the Marines. I was only out 3 months, and so I was pretty squared away. And I dressed up, set up an interview, and painfully typed out a resume. And 2 of my regrets in high school were taking 3 years of Latin instead of Spanish, and never taken typing. But as I hold my laptop talking to y'all now. But anyways, set up an appointment to meet with Chef Alon. Went into his kitchen. He's in his, you know, chef coat, got his chef hat on, apron. His sous chef's filleting fish, stocks are simmering. It's a working interview. He's got a paring knife, and he's doing this technique of turning little potatoes to make them kind of ornate looking. And he's listening to what I have to say. And he said he'd call me, but I could tell by the way the conversation was going, he wasn't going to call me. And it was a teeny little restaurant, but it was so clean, and it was just, and I went home that night and I just thought, man, this is the place to learn how to cook. So I came up with this idea, and the next morning I knocked on the kitchen door, and Chef answered the door, and I said, "Chef, I can give you Wednesdays and Saturdays from 8 in the morning until noon for free. I'll do whatever you want. I'll wash dishes. I'll clean your lettuce, whatever you want." I didn't think he'd say no. And of course, he didn't say no. And that got me in the door of his kitchen. And then I worked so hard for Chef Alon that I grew up to be his second in charge. And then he made me a partner in the restaurant. And that's when cooking and being a chef became my profession.
Wow. That's
That is-
amazing.
That's busting your ass working for it, right?
Yeah.
Like, now I'll work for free. Just give me the skills I need.
Mm.
That's crazy. So what made you, or how did you make that leap from working in the restaurant to being, one of the biggest names in barbecue?
Right. The first barbecue competition.
What happened? It was that first walk,
Crazy,
right?
crazy story. So I mean, that was back in the 90s. No, that was back in the 80s. Excuse me, I'm old. And so then I met my wife Leslie. We eventually started a high-end catering company that we started in 1993 called A Sharper Palate, and we just turned 31 years old. So that's still
Congrats.
thriving. But anyways, the business got to where eventually we had it had grown, and I wasn't cooking anymore. I was just managing, and I was missing cooking. And so I had learned how to make all these different cuisines, all these hard to pronounce, fancy, expensive foods. I could, I did a lot of pastry work. I did a lot of chocolate work. I made sushi. I mean, all these dishes. And I was like, man, I want to learn how to cook with fire. So I bought a Lang 84 smoker. I got a load of hickory. I had a few cookbooks. John Willingham was a cookbook that I was reading. I mean, I had a bunch of barbecue books, but anyways, got this load of hickory, got this pit, got some pork butts, made a rub, lit the fire, seasoned the meat, and I just ruined a big old load of pork butts. And it was just it was there were so many things. It was surprising, it was humbling. I fell in love with it. I think probably everybody on this podcast show right now, we're probably all a little bit of a pyro. And like to play with fire. But anyways, I I was just so surprised that I ruined this meat. And anyways, I kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And so over here, right across the street over here is my neighbor Sue Brown, and she's been my neighbor for 25 years. And I would knock on Miss Brown's door and I say, Miss Brown, I got some barbecue for you. And she would be so gracious and take that barbecue. And one day she knocked on the door, or one day I knocked on the door, she answered it. And I said, Miss Brown, I got some barbecue for you. And she said, Tuffy, I still got some of the last barbecue you gave me.
Oh man.
And it just dawned on me. I could tell by her face she didn't want it. So why did she want it? Most people ruin barbecue, including myself. We undercook it and we oversmoke it. And anyways, in this journey of like trying to learn how to make barbecue and cook with fire, there used to be the only communication back then with barbecue other than face to face. There used to be a barbecue forum, and anyways, in that forum, I learned that there was a barbecue circuit, and I was so surprised by that. There's competition barbecue. I just wasn't expecting that. And so in 2004, I signed up for my first barbecue competition in Lynchburg, Virginia, which is about 2 hours from here, but it's where I grew up. And I did my first barbecue contest. And the only reason I signed up for that is I figured I'd go meet people there that knew how to make good barbecue. I wasn't really looking to be competitive. So I go to this contest, and I'm up with all the stick burners, and it's cold. And back then I was running my pit lower, so I was putting my meat on longer. And I'm with all the stick burners talking. I'm meeting all these people for the first time, and they keep looking over at this motorhome and this beautiful pit, and they go, he hadn't even lit his fire yet. And I go, who hadn't lit his fire yet? And they go, Johnny hadn't lit his fire yet. I go, who's Johnny? They go, Johnny Trigg. I go, who's Johnny Trigg? And anyways, he won that contest. We got 2 calls, and I kind of fell in love with the people. And anyways, that's a little bit of the journey of barbecue, and it's taken me on a trip I could have never imagined.
Yeah, that's it's something we were kind of reflecting on a little bit this past weekend. Just being out, one is being part of the MBBQA, which I think is a fantastic organization. Kel and Janet both had gotten a little sick on this trip, and Kel had to miss the last couple of days. He was just not feeling well at all, and but we got to talking, and one of the things that we were coming out is, we're guys from South Texas here, Southeast Texas here, just south of Houston, and have competed in this area for quite a while, but never really branched out, right? Just never, competition. Well, it's kind of far away. Well, there's so many that happen around here. There's no reason to go somewhere else. And You know, we've got some pretty big ones, but again, it's just stuff that we were bouncing around here, and COVID happened, and we were kind of sitting around like, what are we going to do? There's no competitions, and so somebody made a comment like, let's do a podcast, and I'm thinking to myself like, it's like, yeah, first of all, like I don't think podcasts are fun, and I don't think anybody watches a podcast. Like, who watches? I mean, I was kind of making a joke about who watches podcasts, and everybody in the room is like, well, we all do, and I'm like, well, shit, I'm on the back end of this. I don't, I need to I need to figure out what a podcast really is, first of all, or how that even works. And within a week or two, John showed up with microphones, and James had bought a microphone, and he goes, I come walking up, and they're like, "Where's your microphone?" I said, "Well, I didn't get one." And John's like, "Well, I went ahead and bought another one because I knew you wouldn't do it." And so we just kind of got on and started this talk, right? This ramble, this half drinking, and we sold this to our
We were whole drinking.
yeah. But we sold this to our wives to it was a way for us to hang out, and we could drink beer together, and it was the same as kind of going to a competition because we were always cooking something and then going talking about it and whatever. But that one left, or that one right that we took, has led to us traveling to Kansas. Is us led us going out to the shed, going to San Antonio, going to Hondo for the open fire, and it's opened doors, and we've gotten to network and see an incredibly bigger side to barbecue that we never thought we would actually see. And so I think for that, like, I'm fortunate enough to go, man, like this was a great idea that I didn't have the fortitude to even think about. And I feel so glad that I said, yeah, let's do this, you know. So again, it's led us here to this day that, you know, we get to have you, you know, on the podcast, and it's just wild.
The community of the people you get to meet and barbecue is just amazing. Probably it was probably back around 2000, and I don't it was around 2006, something like that. I ended up changing my cell plan 3 times that year because I had met all these great people from Texas and Kansas and, all over the country, and I was talking to these people on the phone about barbecue for hours, and I used to not use my cell phone that much, but the people that we get to meet through barbecue is amazing. It's a lot of wonderful people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I can't tell you enough.
Yeah.
You're Go ahead, James.
Yeah, we ran to a little bit earlier before you jumped on. We ran through some of the accolades, some of the competitions that you won. I had a question. Your approach to these large competitions versus maybe a smaller competition that may be like, I don't know, 20, 30, 50. Do you have a difference? Do you approach them differently, or is it just the same?
Well, I mean, I probably some of my guiding lights. I mean, I got another saying: the harder you work, the luckier you get. I think we
Yeah.
should all work our ass off when we're at a world championship. It's like, so I had an old friend who used to say, plan your work, work your plan. So when I get to any barbecue contest, and this has been something that's gotten developed over the years, but I have sharp knives, a clean pit, good wood, good meat. Uh, I got my station all set. Chef Alon taught me mise en place, and that's basically being organized, being prepared. Um, and so I get in a deep state of focus. I'm probably one of the more boring pit masters out there because I'm probably dialed in trying to cook really good food. Barbecue pit masters kind of impacted some of my focus in competitions now because I talk to a lot of people, so my cooks are a little more distracted today than they once were. But so I'm super organized. I'm super dialed in. Your food needs to eat well cold. So when you look at these big contests, you need to, a lot of times if we cook ribs or pork butter or brisket or a cut like that, and if we don't cook it quite long enough, and if it chills, it can get to be a little chewy. So I think your food needs to eat well cold, especially on a bigger contest, because sometimes you take the year I won the American Royal Open, there was 550 teams competing. It takes a long time for them to get that many entries into to the judges and sort it all out. So I think the best way. And how do you know if your food eats well cold? Go turn your box in, then come back to your station and sample some of the meat that you didn't turn in. That's probably going to give you a pretty good indication of what that meat was like when the judges are eating it. So I make a little bit of regional changes, not a lot. Generally speaking, I want to have a taste that is generally appealing to everybody. So it might not be too spicy, it might not be too sweet, might not be too tangy, but it's going to have all of those things. If you get up into like the Northeast, I tend to sweeten it up a little bit there. My flavor profiles work well in Kansas. I've had some success in Texas, but I also North Carolina can be a little polarizing sometimes. And I have had some places where I cook and they like my food in North Carolina, and then I've had other places I can't buy a call. But I just think being organized, being prepared, staying on point, going back to it's better to be looking at it than looking for it. I'm gonna try and make sure that I'm not down to the wire on. I learned. Here's a lesson I learned. So, Lakeland, Florida, one year, we turned in all 4 categories, and then 47 minutes later, they came and found me and said I was disqualified in brisket, and said that I was 2 seconds late on brisket. So we went to awards, and we got a first, a second, and I think a fourth in the other 3 categories. So we would have probably won it even if we'd been last in brisket, not DQ'd. But the lesson I learned with that is I started taking my time a little more building these boxes. And I don't know who said it to me first, but don't leave your best meat on the table. Put it in the box. We got to give ourselves ample time to sort through all this meat and really find the most delicious cuts, the most delicious ribs. I don't know if I answered your question or not.
No, you did. Yeah.
No, 100%. We're trying to. We're like, this is getting recorded because I got to go back and watch this again and take some notes off of this thing.
Hey, and y'all tell me if I get too windy, because I get windy quick.
No, that's amazing.
Run it.
No, it's I think it's a great point that that even this last Friday when we were doing the state competition on the Rhinestone Cowboy, and we had this plan together, and it's like, the first step was for us was like, all right, so listen, let's go ahead and light some charcoal, let's get that going, and then it's like, great, sounds good. There's 3 guys standing around. And let me tell you what didn't happen. Nobody lit any charcoal, right? And 10 minutes goes by, and then somebody goes, man, we got to light that charcoal. And it's like, yeah, we got to do that, But again, no charcoal's being lit. So I'm like, shit, I got to light the charcoal. Okay, let's get this charcoal lit. And from the time we lit the charcoal, it was one big scramble for the open, and then right behind that was the steak turn in. And you've got 2 steaks, and we really wanted to cook one 30 minutes prior and have it done. But that would require us also to cook our open 30 minutes prior to that, right? Which, guess what? We didn't do. So we literally got the open plated out, more charcoal in, pit's getting hot, and we're cooking one steak. We're finishing that one steak, and we had to start the second steak at the same time. And so we knew what steak we wanted to turn in, or so we thought. And essentially, we finished both steaks within, I'd say, about 5 minutes of each other.
Mhm.
And we were literally plating and running off. I think we wanted to be the first. We wanted to be the first top 5, 6, 7, 10 teams turned in. I think we were the last team. It was like
it was the last couple seconds we were
running over there. I'm like,
scurrying up.
why did we? You know what I mean? It's like we had a plan. We just failed to follow the plan, and everybody had a job they were doing already, and it was like one thing had to happen first, which is we had to get the pit lit. And everybody wanted to prep something, and we're trying to make a homemade pico de gallo, and all these little stations had to happen, but again, nothing happens without the fire, and that just set us back probably 30 minutes between the coals and everything else. So
yeah. Tuffy, do you does it matter to you when you turn in? I know some of these different competitions that they give you a window, or they give you a time that you have to turn in. Do you have a preference? Do you turn in early or late, in the middle, or do you?
Well, it depends on the contest. and I'm just giving it all out here. So like if you're cooking at the Invitational or the Open at the Royal, they use those bread trays, and they'll put 4 on the bottom and 2 on the top. And when you go to turn in, there's going to be a whole long line of these bread trays that you can go and turn your. So whoever turns our boxes in for that, I just want them to be on the 5th or the 6th. I want the food to sit on the top rather than have food sitting on top of ours. So when that's a strategy I have with that. But I don't really, on a big contest like that, I don't play around with early or late. I just want to be on the 5th or the 6th. I want to be on those top 2 for those clamshells. Turn in strategy and a more manageable, smaller contest. Historically, I want to be on the front side for chicken and ribs. When this is all specific to KCBS right now, but when chicken gets turned in, when the first category gets turned in, they're just going to take the first 6 boxes, they're going to take them to a table, and they're going to get dispersed, and they'll just go through that process. But Kansas City Barbecue Society does not want the judges, if they can help it, to judge the same team twice. So if there's 4 tables, ideally they'd like it to just. So as you get deeper into the categories, it takes a little bit longer for that box to get sorted to go to the table, because they're paying attention to that a little bit. So usually with chicken and ribs, I'm on the front side, and usually with pork and brisket, I'm on the later side. But I'm just telling you, it stinks to get disqualified. So don't play it too close. I played it too close one time, and it bit me.
Yeah, we've been on the last time that we were at the American Roll, just as the podcast, recording and filming some of the turn-ins and watching the clock. And then once you get about a minute down and you just see people running, and you just see the fear and the panic in their eyes, and you know they've been trucking it for a while, and you see her, you're like, oh man, just hurry up, man. I don't want you to DQ, man. This is gonna suck.
Yeah.
I was all state cross country in high school, and I was a good runner in the Marine Corps. And the rule specifically. So when we were at Kemper, when it used to be down there at Kemper, I had to run down that hall, and I was going to do a blind turn, and I was either going to crash into somebody or I was going to get my box turned in on time. And I think Carolyn Wells was taking boxes, and I think there was like less than 30 seconds on the clock, and she looked up at me. I did the same thing another year at the Royal at Arrowhead and had to run up this ramp. But anyways, I don't do that anymore. I think I'm older. I'm a little wiser.
Nice. Yeah, you learned some lessons. Yeah. No, that's good. So the Royals getting a new spot, right? They bought the land next to the track there, and I think I heard somebody say they're not going to be ready this coming up year, but possibly next year. They're looking at more funding and everything else. So definitely eager to see the new digs when they get that going. We did have the little time to hang out with Kevin. What was his last?
Rothie?
Yes, yeah, with the Memphis in May.
Oh yeah.
Yep, and so they are one thing they announced that they're going to start doing this year is they're going to include the kids queue competition, which is something they haven't done before, and which was kind of cool. Just saying, hey, being one of the first groups. I don't think they had officially announced it yet. So I was like, man, that's cool. They're gonna do that. So, are you planning to get down there this year?
Yeah, I'm still sorting that out, and I knew about the kids queue. I have not made a decision. Golly, I'm trying to think when was the last time I competed. I guess last time I competed would have been Memphis in May, but I think I cooked one contest last year. I've really been enjoying doing more of the public interfacing events, like that event that we the one that we did at that catering facility for the MBBQA, not this past year, but the year before. They had the Texas High School Barbecue League there.
Yep.
I've always enjoyed being, teaching young people how to cook and help them. And I just, you've got the high school league. Melissa Cookston, she's got her league, and then World Junior Barbecue League, I think it is, and then
Yep.
and then also with what Memphis is doing. But those kids that were in Texas when we were there, they came over to my station and they were just so well mannered and so polite and yes, ma'am, or yes, no, sir, or yes, sir. But they were all focused. Actually, I did another event where they had, it was the World Food Championship one year in Texas, and they had, you know, the kids league too. So I just think that's good stuff.
Yeah, I cannot agree more. The fact that the high schools now are putting together competition teams that are competing against other high schools is one, it's amazing. Two, I'm like, why didn't we have that? You know, I'm like, how much further along would we be as, you know, and James and I grew up just a backyard, you know, uncle or dad had a barbecue pit, and that's kind of how you kind of cut your teeth on it. But yeah, I can't imagine just, you know, we played sports, right? You know, throughout high school. But man, I would have definitely jumped in and tried to have done that. But yeah, those guys, those kids they're really good for one. They're no slouches. And you know, I'd put them up against anybody, any grown person cooking anyways, just in general. I mean, they are that focused when you're out there, and they work really well as a team. Just watching, I think was that Fort Worth that we were at?
That was at Fort Worth. That's it.
Yeah, that was cool.
So who were the winners for the kids queue down there at the Shed Showdown? Little Gorilla, she won. How did Brad's kids do? You know, y'all remember?
Yeah,
They got a couple calls in the stake. Yeah,
they got there's a top 10, ninth place maybe.
I was going to say ninth. Yeah.
I think is what he got in stake.
Yeah.
So
Caden
Did
got
all of them get up there and do a shout out to White Lightning?
yes, and they all got $20.
I know it. I almost called Brad and said, "Look, I'll give them an extra 20 if they say byproducts." But
there it is.
Exactly.
But I just think that's brilliant that they do that.
Yeah, they had one
funny.
kid that got up there and they said say your seasoning, and he turned around and he goes and he said his seasoning, you know, the one him and his parents run, and so he said that, and I think Eric or somebody walked over and was like, hey, you know what, mad respect for that, and then the kid goes White Lightning, and he put his hand out and he goes, here's your $20. I was like, man, that is so cool. Yeah, that's neat. We actually raised right at 6,000 is what we raised for that for that event, and that's the only event I've ever heard of that $6,000 goes to the winner of the kids queue. And there was two winners, so it was a perfect score, or not perfect score, but they had both tied perfectly there, and so it was a split. So for first and second, and so each of them walked away with $3,000, each one of those kids, and I'm like, man, that's more than the adults. And one of the kids was upset because he aged. Was that whose son was that?
That's Amy and Rob Dobbs.
Yeah, that's right.
son.
Amy and Rob Dobb. Their son had aged out, and he had to cook with the adults. And he got a call. He got a. And they all three did.
Yeah, that whole family kicked butt all weekend.
Amy won she won the event for the showdown. She was actually in the showdown.
Yeah, she won the turkey event in the showdown.
That's right, and won the turkey, and then
she got second in one of the stakes.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think the son, Brady, I think his walk was in the Rhinestone Cowboy, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. Which is dang. That's what it's about. Just doing that. But I was floored to see. You know, like, heck, I walked around, sold tickets for probably 4 hours out there, and then some guy came up and he was like, "Man, you already got me." I was like, "Well, you need more." And we got to the judging tent, or I'm sorry, the stage there, and he came up and he goes, "All right, let me get some more." You know, and he probably bought $200 or $300 worth. You know, it was
awesome.
just it was cool. It was really cool.
Let me ask you this: so you've won at the Jack, obviously, and the Royal, and Memphis in May. Is there a contest out there that you're like, That's the one I need to win still. It's on my bucket list. I want to check it off.
I don't. I don't know how many trophies or ribbons you need. I've been blessed beyond blessed on the competition circuit, and um, just been. I've won more than my fair share. I think my mom put it into perspective for me one time when she was still alive. I had gone to a contest and we did really well, and we were reserve grand at a big contest with all the big names there. And the next contest that we went to, I never got out of my seat one time. And my mom called me up. She said, "Tuffy, I hear you didn't do so well this weekend." And I said, "No, ma'am." And she said, "Well, last weekend it was your turn, and this weekend it was somebody else's." And that just really, I just always held on to that. And I always try and I always try and congratulate who the winners are. Even if I do poorly, I just go over there and, congratulate them. But I, I don't know. I was on an interview one time, and the guy interviewing me said, "You must be really competitive." And I had to stop and think about it because I don't really think of myself as competitive. I just try and do the best job that I can when I'm doing it, and that's done pretty well for me. Um, and I don't know if I'm going to compete anymore. I'm not saying I'm not. I'm not saying I'm retiring, but it's just like I like doing the events like ones we've seen each other at, where we get to
Yeah.
talk to people and you feed them something and hopefully answer their questions, maybe impart a little knowledge. And I love I just really had an amazing experience. I got to go do something with Simplify America's Fund and cook. I think there were 16 veterans that had injuries, and we cooked and we did a class, and it was really rewarding. But I don't know if there's, I mean, obviously I haven't won them all, but I feel content with where I'm at.
Yeah, you did fine. You did fine.
Yeah, right. Fine. I love that, John. That's great.
Yeah. Tuffy, hey, was there a transitional period for you when you jumped in front of the camera, like when you did the barbecue pitmasters? What was that challenging for you, or was it? I mean,
I think it was challenging probably for the whole group of us. So I'll never forget I mean, I was cooking at a contest by myself, which was usually it's my dad and I, but I was cooking at a contest in Dillard, Georgia, which was one of the sweetest contests there ever was. And my phone rings and it's John Marcus, and John was the creator of Barbecue Pitmasters, and he used to do barbecue competitions, and he's just a award winning. I think he's won an Emmy and a Peabody, and he's just a great writer. And he calls me up and he says, I answered the phone, and he says, "Tuffy, I want to send 2 camera guys down to Richmond on Tuesday to film you in Richmond. And I got this idea for a television show, and I want to make a sizzle reel." And I said, "Sure, John, you can do that." And then he went on further. He said, "Tuffy, I got to tell you, I've cast your role as the professor." He says, "You can talk for hours on smoke and wood and fire." And y'all can already tell how much I can talk. And so anyways, I said, "That's fine." So then I get a phone call on Monday night from Leanne Whippen. And Leanne says, "Tuffy, man, I am so sorry. I apologize, but they wanted me to talk smack, and I just said some things about you." And I said, "Well, what'd you say about me?" And she said, "Well, I said things like, he's got a spreadsheet that's color coded and stuff like that." Well, I literally stayed up all night thinking about this stuff because I'm not a smack talker. And so I finally came up with these things that I thought like I could say that wouldn't really be smack, but they'd be funny. So when they get there, I say, I don't know if it's true or not, but I hear Johnny's got a gun in his boot. I said,
Yes, I remember this.
I love Leanne, but I don't like to cook beside her because her hair dryer always knocks out my power. And that was the kind of stuff that I said. So anyways, the show gets greenlit like a week after. I mean, it's so quick you won't believe it. And next thing you know, I got a crew that comes to Richmond and they get in my C-Class motorhome, pulling the Grill Vet, my Jambo, and they ride with me 2,200 miles to Mesquite, Nevada. And we get to Mesquite, Nevada, where we're filming our first episode. And so it's Johnny Trigg, Jamie Geer, Leanne Whippen, Harry Sue, Paul Peterson, Myron Mixon, and myself. I think that was the 7 of us. And you talk about the camera. So sometimes cameras, y'all probably deal with it on your podcast all the time, where you might occasionally get somebody that's got such a great personality, and then you put the mic on them and they get a little
Freeze
shy.
up.
Yeah, they freeze up. Well, this was happening in Mesquite, Nevada, and I was like, man, this is not going to make for a television show if we don't like get out of our comfort zone. And so it started to work its way. I think everybody got better at it. I mean, Jamie Geer's one. Have y'all ever met Jamie Geer face to face?
No,
No, sir.
no.
Jamie Geer is one of the funniest people you'll ever meet, and he's got so many sayings. Like 2 of his sayings are, he's got a 2-ton body on a 1-ton chassis. And his other one is more nervous than a dog shitting peach seeds. I don't know if you're allowed to say that.
No, you can't.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine.
But Jamie was a good example. I mean, he will keep you laughing all the time. But when it first started, we were all just seasoned up a little bit, himself included. And then I think we got better in time. But it's been I think I did 6 seasons or 5 seasons of Barbecue Pitmasters, and I think I was on 50 some episodes, and we got Myron. I'm probably one of the few people that Myron will let tease him like I do. Me and Myron have had more terrible takeout food in shitty little hotels all over this country filming Barbecue Pitmasters, but I can't believe they still do reruns with it. I mean, it's just amazing to me. But we had fun.
Well, there's been a lot of barbecue shows since, but for me, that one's still that's still the king right there. I still watch reruns. It's great.
Yeah, now it's these competition shows, right? They're competing against other whatever, but I'm still waiting for the reboot or something where they go back out to the competition trail. That just seems so.
Barbecue USA is a little bit like
A
that,
little
but
bit, yeah.
I don't know.
It's not
So many of the people that are in competition barbecues, that season 1 was their favorite season. Where we were going around doing these competitions. From a network production company standpoint, like 1 year, the first season 1 in American Royal Invitational, I'm 3rd place overall in the Invitational. I got 2 crowns that day. The really nice trophies. Anybody that's doing competition is thrilled with that kind of, and yet we weren't the overall winner. So the part that they didn't like is that one of us didn't win every contest that we went to.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Which, when you think about that lineup, is kind of crazy that one of you didn't win, because that's a lot of killer cooks.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I know.
Yeah, but we all know how competitive. I mean, there's a lot of great cooks out there.
Yeah, you guys gave away too many secrets. So I mean, and that's one thing I like about barbecue. I think in the early days, for us, there were a lot of people that kept secrets, and there's always a few things you keep back, and but and you may call out 2 of your rubs, but maybe you don't show a certain technique or a certain marinade or just a wrap or anything else, and it's every little thing that sets you apart. It's always that nuance there. But lately, I feel like it's become more of an open book, and especially with the video, and you've got YouTube is just transcended. Learning anything in life. And I go to YouTube, like, how do you do this? Well, I'll just YouTube it real quick. I'll be a master in about 30 minutes.
Websites. Yeah. I mean, there used to be forums back in the day. I assume there still are forums. I just don't visit them much, but that usually was the source of where I would go to try to figure out how to barbecue.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of just barbecue in general, you've got a lineup of rubs out there. Your umami rub is amazing. And it's probably one of my favorites that I go to. We've got it sitting on our shelves, and it's always one that even just for going back and finishing on something, going back, it's just a really really good rub. Was at Kansas City, and there was guys from Japan, and they had their it was a umami rub or whatever it was, and maybe it was a sauce, it wasn't a rub, it was sauce.
It was a sauce.
Yeah, which even then I was like, man, that's really good, and then I got a hold of yours, and I was like, man, that's it right there. What's some of your inspiration, or when you're coming up with some of these rubs, how are you testing those and putting them together?
Well, it's like my whole lineup of barbecue provisions has become a bigger focus for me. I used to feel like being a chef was like being a plumber. And as long as I could feed people, I could put a roof over my head. COVID taught me that being a chef's not like a plumber. They still needed plumbers, but they didn't need us chefs. And I had so many friends during COVID that were just doing so well with their rubs, their sauces. All the grill manufacturers were doing well. All the charcoal manufacturers, because everybody was just staying at home and cooking. And I had products out then, but I had never really put a lot of effort into them. And I made a decision that I was going to try and do a better job with my products. And I had everything under my Cool Smoke name. And I had a lot of people in my ears saying that Cool Smoke was a good name, but they felt like more people knew my name than Cool Smoke. And I had a rebranding meeting right before our call, right before our podcast here. I'm doing some tweaks to all my labels because I'm starting to make some traction with the big stores with my products, and I just want to do a really good job. But during this time with COVID, the big umami, the daily grind, I asked myself, are the seasonings and the sauces that I have the best that I'm capable of making? Because we know how many products are out there, and there's a lot of good products. And I was like, somebody might buy my product one time, but what's more important to me, when it's empty, will they buy another? So,
Mhm.
so about 6 months, I took all my recipes and I just tweaked them all. And I would practice. I would do it on wings. I'd do it on chicken. I'd do it on ribs. I'd do it on potatoes. And just, does it need a little more of this? Does it need a little more of that? With this whole idea of just trying to make them the best that I'm capable of tasting wise. And so, in fact, I'm retooling, I'm tweaking my sauces right now because I feel like my two sauces can be better. I love the big umami. It's a great base coat. It's great on vegetables. It's great by itself. I really love that, and it can just uh, I don't know. I enjoy that one a lot. I like the daily grind. I got one friend who says, "Man, I hate coffee and I love the daily grind." Um, and I would say anybody that's listening right now, if you wanna get into the rub and sauce business, it's a lot of work. Yeah, I would say you gotta have a good label. You need to have a good name. You gotta have something good inside the bottle. Um, you know, I'm learning so many lessons in this whole CPG thing right now. This whole product thing. Leslie, my wife, and we're learning a lot all the time. And I've got so many friends, and we all have the same friends that are so successful. There's some that are just crushing it. But I think I guess the inspiration for me is, and I also like the big umami. It doesn't have to just be on the grill or the smoker. It can be in the skillet. It can be on the oven, you know. But we were having a meeting on this rebranding the other day, and I was trying to like articulate who I think our customer is. And one of the people on the phone said, anybody with a mouth is your customer. And that really resonated with me because I mean, we're all eating. We might not all be grilling and we might not all be barbecuing, but we're all eating. And
Yep.
so I'm just trying to make them as tasty as I can. Something that, there's a few guiding lights for me, whether it's cooking for the James Beard House or vending or catering or cooking for my family or cooking at a barbecue contest, there's certain guiding lights for me or principles that I really try and hit. The best foods in the world, and I don't care if you're at the French Laundry, I don't care if it's a Caesar salad, ice cream, or a rack of ribs. Uh, the best foods in the world are going to be the ones that have the best texture. They always talk about taste being the most important component. For me, tenderness is the most important thing in foods, generally speaking. I can fix taste. I can
Yep.
I can add a little more salt. I can add a little bit of acidity. I can make flavor adjustments, but the texture is the really important for me. Another guiding light for me is I always want the meat to be the star. John Willingham in his book, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but John Willingham said, "Smoke is dirt. We're cooking, we're not smoking." And that really resonated with me. That's why John Marcus gave me the nickname the professor, and talking about how I studied that fire. I still do. I study that fire so much. I want a fire to breathe. A fire that doesn't breathe is gonna create creosote, and creosote's gonna be bitter. That's why Miss Brown didn't like my barbecue, because it was over smoked and it wasn't tender enough. But when I'm working on my products, my rubs and my seasonings and my sauces, uh, I'm still thinking about that meat being the star and all these flavors coming together. I want all the taste that from my product to be a compliment to the pork tenderloin, a compliment to the piece of chicken. So I'm always thinking of, when I'm in product creation and development, I'm thinking about how everything kind of comes together. Sorry,
Nice.
Wendy.
No, man, that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah, sticking true to your nickname, the professor.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just a quick impromptu here. Are you a fan of the sauce in the briskets, or do you when you're cooking a brisket at home, do you do like a dry rub and no sauce?
It's funny. It's like I get a little moody this way. Even talking about the smoke, I was cooking these chickens for Sunday supper during COVID at this restaurant that I just purchased. Bad timing for that. And I was cooking these chickens, and I was brining them, and I was just trying to make. I wanted these. I felt like the chickens that I was smoking was like this lifeline, and it was going to be the difference between me staying in business or going out of business. And I put so much love into these chickens, and I did it every Sunday, and people would pre-order. But um, but one of the things, and I'm sure we're all, probably everybody listening right now, we can all probably relate to, just sometimes you light a fire and you're cooking a piece of meat. It's a good time to reflect. And anyways, I'm cooking these chickens, and I'm like, I learned sometimes I like them a little smoky. Sometimes I like them a little, just a whiff of smoke. And so brisket's a little bit that way for me too. And I think generally speaking, when I'm cooking brisket for just me, I might brush a little sauce on there, but sometimes no sauce at all. But when I'm doing competition brisket, it always has sauce on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that has caught on for historically for a long time. You couldn't sauce a brisket in a lot of the competitions for I think for I think
IBCA and
IBCA.
Houston. Yep.
Yep. And then it's the KCBS style of cooking has slowly moved in, and now you have it's a CBA, which is here, and
Fred's
it's
doing a
really
great
getting.
job with that.
Oh, it's
Mhm.
amazing. But what they've done is they're really getting people here in Texas ready to cook KCBS and cook other places in the United States that is it's a bigger uh, kind of a bigger program, and it's something that we've had a hard time learning here, just because there's no competitions that really allowed you to do it. So unless you were going to travel somewhere else and get the exposure, it was just kind of stuck there, So I really commend those guys for kind of bringing that on, and competition breeds greatness on the competition side for barbecue, but also for just sanctioning bodies. And the CBA is pushing the IBCA to do a better job and move into maybe a quicker scoring system, a little maybe something that's more fun in the calls when you're playing the walk up music, and just I don't know. I just think that all that stuff's kind of come along, and you've seen a big transition here in Texas, including the sauce, which is I've fought it for years, and I think it's got to have a balance. I don't really care for a really sweet brisket. It's got to have I don't mind a little balance in there, a mixture of a rub and or your sauce and your au jus, something to help balance it out a little bit. But yeah, it's something that we've all had to kind of come to grips with. It's like, look, if you want to be successful, and you don't always have to do it. It just depends on where you're at, but or where you're cooking at. But I think it's something that we've had to come to Jesus meeting on it. We said, hey, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna have to kind of follow suit
Yeah.
there.
There were some arguments for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh
Well,
yeah.
Johnny Trigg, who's a legend, he drizzle a little honey on his brisket and for the wrap, and bring in. But he did what you were saying. It was bringing in a balance of flavors. So you still had that spiciness from the pepper and the bite from the smoke, but just a little sweetness just to round that out a little bit. Hey, going back to y'all's SCA and all that down at the Shed Showdown and not lighting the fires, how did y'all fare?
Middle of the pack.
Yeah, 30.
Like 34th out of around, what was it, about 60 or?
Yep, 64, 65 teams, and 14th in the open. And I don't know where the.
That's good.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So you probably would have done better for you to have stayed on your timing. Just saying.
I listen. I like that, and I actually agree with you. But the buck stops with James, and James took lead on this, and he's got to be a better director.
Yeah, I'll take ownership of that
Yeah.
for sure. Tuffy, I know we're probably up against the wall a little bit. I know you needed a certain time that you need to get out there. Have you ever competed in an SCA contest?
I've judged them. I've cooked it. I've competed in an IBC. You know what? SCA contests are more complicated than KCBS, and I've been around them a lot. And these light meters and all of this stuff. It's like, but I've been behind the scenes on the SCAs and been able to be in the judging area without judging, and I've also judged them too. But golly, they're precise.
Yeah, and I guess some of the scuttlebutt that we heard, I mean, I think you have to be sous vide in these steaks. At least I know a lot of competitors out there that are winning are doing that just because of I guess you get a graph. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't been behind the scenes of where that steak needs to be. Now, if you cook a perfectly medium steak and it has like a little gray band going on the around that, then they're like, you get deducted points to a certain extent. And I'm like, well, the only way you're going to get wall to wall like that perfect medium is to possibly sous vide it. You know what I mean?
SCA, even competition barbecue, sometimes it gets so far away. Let's just speak to barbecue right now. Sometimes it gets so far away from the essence of what really barbecue was. My entries for my barbecue have always still looked like food. I didn't do lollipops. I didn't do muffin pans. My chicken, not every piece looked perfectly the same. I didn't inject ribs. I do inject pork butts and brisket. That bothers me that I do that as well, because there's part of, I always thought about barbecue. Barbecue's like the most gregarious cuisine. It's where we're taking the tougher cuts of meat. It's usually family reunions and picnics and large groups of people, and it's this real humble food that's really hard to make. And I learned that in my initial attempts. It's easy to make bad barbecue, but whether it be sous vide or meat glue or some of the things that are happening in the food competitions now, I get a little less interested in that, and I just want good, I think it was Rod Gray that used to say it, but somebody that I used to talk to a lot used to say, "Good food is good food," and put it in your. That's what I liked about IBCA. I only cooked one IBCA contest. I had what was Ronnie and Michelle Wade. She cooked as nothing fancy, and what was Ronnie Wade's name? Anyways, legends in the IBCA. I cooked right beside them. And I like the way they approach judging for IBCA. They said, look at it. Does it look like good food? Smell it. Does it smell like good food? Taste it. Does it taste like good food? I kind of like that.
No, definitely. No, definitely. Is there any new rubs or sauces you're working on right now? If you don't want to.
No, so I mean, right now, I'm tweaking the labels as I was said earlier. We're really close. I'm starting to get into some bigger stores, and I feel like I wanted the packaging to just be. Um, uh, my cousin said something to me this summer. I was working on a big presentation, and he's in the advertising world, and he says you got 2 seconds to have your label reach out. And when you got that whole wall of rubs or sauces in the grocery store, it's got to be. So, anyways, I'm tweaking that. So that's been a lot of effort right now. I have 3 sauces named, and the recipe is right. More or less the packaging for them. I'm waiting. I think 2025 is going to be an exciting. I'm knock on wood. 2025 is starting off pretty good with some of the momentum that I'm starting to see with these products. Sauces, generally speaking, anybody that's listening that might be interested in rubs and sauces, generally speaking, you have to make most of your co-packers. You're going to need to do a 400-gallon minimum of it. That turns into about, I think, 270 12-count cases of sauce. Your shelf life will probably be anywhere from a year to 2 years. Rubs, you don't have to make as much. Shelf life is better, and they're less. And anyway, so rubs is sometimes an easier thing to step into with sauce. So I probably going to wait with these rebranding efforts and getting into some of these bigger retailers. I'm looking to step up my content. All these things kind of come together. So I'm going to see how this gets going, but I've got 3 sauces ready to go, and I've got some ideas for rubs, but I haven't formulated those yet.
Nice. Nice. For the people that are watching, if they're wanting to go online or go somewhere and purchase in any of your rubs, where would they go?
I mean, we've got an Amazon storefront. You can go to tuffystone.com and we'll ship it to you that way. Down y'all's way, we're in all Academy Sports and Outdoors. We're in True Value. We're in just a few Ace Hardware. We're in so many of the independent grilling stores have supported us, and barbecue stores have supported us. We're in giant grocery stores on the East Coast. We're getting ready to go into Hy-Vee. Anyways, I've got actually just go to my link on my website, or go to my website. There's a store finder, and that can be helpful that way. But and hopefully that's going to grow.
No, definitely. I can definitely see it's going to grow. I mean, the seasonings that we've tasted and cooked with, I think were truly amazing. Like I said, it's not something that we're just. It literally is sitting on a shelf next to a barbecue pit, and it's one thing that it does catch your eye, and we love them. So if there's anything that we can do to help just promote you, let us know, because we're definitely fans.
Well, I appreciate y'all so much, and once we get this packaging refreshed, I'll send y'all a package of stuff to take a look at and tell me what you think.
Definitely. Hey, Tuffy, we appreciate you coming on. Truly honored. Just taking time out of your day. And
we just need to do it again. I see some people are dropping notes over here on the side. Ryan
Yep.
talks about missing my restaurant. I appreciate that. I think Anthony from ThermoWorks. I wish I had seen you too, Anthony. Someone said Simplify Devil Dog. Anyways, we'll just have to do it again because there's tons of stuff for us to talk about.
Oh, so
Yeah,
many more
definitely.
questions.
Part
Yeah.
2
Definitely.
coming soon.
Come on.
All right.
Hey,
All right, appreciate
it.
it.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Y'all have a good one.
Appreciate
All right.
Yes,
thank
sir. Cheers.
Hey, you there. We've got a question for you. Are you tired of clickbait stories and the loudest voices driving discussions in culture and entertainment?
If so, I'm Dylan.
I'm Kendall.
And I'm Corey.
And we host the podcast From the Middle. We're middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle.
We take a more reasonable and centrist approach in our discussions covering genres like comedy, culture, entertainment, and interviews with really interesting folks like business owners, comic creators, doctors, news anchors, New York Times best-selling illustrators, professional stand-up comics, and more. We really value a relaxed and conversational podcast, one that we hope is so fun and laid back, you'll forget you're not actually hanging out with us.
So search at From the Mid Pod, just like it sounds, or check us out everywhere you can find podcasts.
Mike came in, said he's been listening the whole show. Great stuff.
Oh, nice.
Steve, great show, guys.
Oh, man. Thank you, guys.
They're
Yeah.
right.
I mean, when you're right, you're right. And we're not going to say you're wrong. Dude, that was so freaking awesome. I mean, obviously, Tuffy was up against it today. He had a short window that he had to spend with us.
He said he had an hour, and we took every minute of it.
We-
so.
Hey, I've
did.
never seen you guys fanboy before.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm
Is that what you
that's-
call it, bro?
Whatever, bro.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Hey, cut his microphone off.
I'm just saying.
No.
Hey, Raul, cut that out.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, no, it's we probably could have just sat here for another hour just listening to him tell stories, and I was
Yes.
my part of it. I gotta catch myself because I'm just sitting there lost into
Yes.
listening to the story, and I mean, honestly, that's an amazing place to be. So hopefully we can get Tuffy back on at another time and place, especially when his new rebranding comes out. I wonder what his rebranding is going to look like. Is it just like very just like wow, like bright colors? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Probably. But the coolest thing he said and it was early on when he was telling his story about he said he started his little story with the first time I won the jack.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
the first time?
Yeah. I love
Jesus.
that's very
God dang. And
Yeah.
from then on, I was just,
very good.
I don't know how many times I went over and started looking at the screen and just watching him over here. And then Raul would switch the camera and me and had turned back real
Yeah,
quick.
right. You're watching. You're not
I was just
partaking.
watching the show. It was
Yeah.
a great show.
I know you got something to say, but really quick, we've got another beer that we've been drinking. We do one every episode.
It's a
Obviously,
beer review.
obviously, it is the beer review, right? Is it the
It's the grabbing a brisket.
beer review? There it is. Right now, we've got this. James gave us. He went and bought this. It's Atletica Mexican style copper. This is we're in dry January, and obviously we're all partaking in dry January. We have not swayed in any way, form, right, John?
No,
You have
well,
not.
Yeah.
You didn't drink
No.
at the shed.
Well,
I was drinking light beer, and light beer is not drinking. So
Mhm.
let's be honest.
I was drinking rum, so that's not drinking either.
That's not. And then I did have some Fireball while I was
Yeah.
there too.
and that is
and then-
liquor.
and I had a Jameson. I did do a Jameson with a butter shots mix with it, which is like a pancake shot.
Mhm.
I did that, and then may have mixed in like we did like a whiskey and Coke once. I don't know. Anyways, I've been celebrating dry January all month long, and but today we have another non-alcoholic beer. This is really good, by the way, James. This is-
Athletic
this-
Brewing Company.
Yeah,
This
I
is
do
a
like this. I
great beer.
like how it says
Tasty.
made in the USA.
Oh,
So I saw 6. Oh, I was like, man, is that 6? Is that 6? ABV, but it's like 60 calories. So I'm like, okay, never mind.
Yeah, 0 grams of fat, guys.
That's it. Hey, just a big cheers to you guys. And like I said, I know we've got a long episode here
yeah, we got
going.
a couple
but
more things we got to get through.
we do.
You guys want to? We've already drank it. Do we want to score this thing real
Yeah,
quick?
let's score real
or-
quick. Go
Let's
ahead.
do it.
All
What do you got?
I finished mine like 45 minutes ago, but from what I remember, it was very tasty.
It was
I really
tasty,
liked it.
yeah.
I think it's even better than the last
It's-
one we did.
I
And
can't
I like
score
that
it.
one. I'm gonna go 8.6.
So it's a really good score. It has almost like that grapefruity kind of citrusy style to this.
Like hoppy, like.
Yeah, yeah. I guess you want to call it that. If that's a word you want to use, James.
I think that's an actual scientific term.
I don't know, James. Is it or is it
Hoppy-like.
not? But yeah, I'm with you on this one. I'm going to call this an 8-3.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to remember my score last time. I think I went solid 8.0 last time. I think.
You did?
Didn't.
I
Yeah.
think.
You did.
Okay. We're gonna step this one up. We're gonna go 8.5.
Okay.
8-5. There it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, that's what we got for the grab.
I thought, honestly, I thought you were gonna say. Sorry.
Peer review.
I thought you were gonna say it has a little bit of a like metallic taste to it. And I was like, no, it's just because it's Mexican styled copper. You're probably getting a little bit of that copper.
Okay.
We didn't.
All
think that.
right.
Sorry,
Wow,
I'm
that was
done.
rough.
And this concludes the Grabbing the Brisket beer review.
Okay, today's episode is brought to you by the Chicks That Smoke Spicy Barbecue Seasoning, our favorite versatile seasoning that elevates any dish from smoked meats to roasted veggies and even popcorn. Whether you're grilling, smoking, or cooking in the kitchen, Chicks That Smoke will kick up the flavor. Chicks That Smoke Spicy Barbecue Seasoning available at SUCKLEBUSTERS.com or through the link in the episode description.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing
I
that.
just thought I'd slip that in there real quick.
Yeah. Obviously, we got a bunch of pictures and stuff that we'd like to share with you guys. Maybe on the next episode.
Yeah, we have to save some
we're
of
gonna
this,
have
I
to
think.
go
But
through.
can we get into the hot off the grill barbecue news?
Let's go.
There it is. And I made a little picture thing again of our upcoming guests. I'm trying to keep it up to date so we can get through this every time and just let people know what's going on. We've got Adam Martinez coming up. That's next week. Followed by Gerald Vinette. That's going to be on the 6th. What's not on this picture, but is going to happen, is on the 13th. We have Meathead lined up. I just got him booked today. That's why it's not on there.
Perfect.
And then the following week, Rob Aroca. And that last week, which is the 27th of February, we've got Malcolm Reed.
That's amazing. Great job.
A whole bunch of heavy hitters.
Great job getting people lined up.
We got them lined up. And there's so many people that we talked to at the shed that want to get on the show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're looking at probably like March, maybe April.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe
we
unless
could fit
we,
'em in.
we might have to run like 2 episodes a week or something.
Yeah, we'll just start
in
doing
a
a
week.
daily show here
Oh.
from the Pearland Podcast
daily.
studio.
The daily.
Hey, let's do it.
It rolls in, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just had the little dollar signs in it.
Right.
You saw that?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Speaking of the Shed Showdown, our boy Troy Johnson, who we met out there,
Congratulations, Troy. Yeah.
Yeah.
he won the Shed Showdown, which I think we talked about a little bit how that worked. But basically, the winners from the category, so there was a stake A and a stake B. After it was over, they went head to head. They had all the little what do you call it? Like
It's like a
spices and
chopped.
stuff.
It's like it's a chopped version of a barbecue competition. Once they're crowned, then they have to go into the tent
Mhm.
and compete against each other again.
and there's like hundreds of people standing around.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of room. They have
Watching you
a
cook.
couple of Primo grills already fired up, ready to go. I would just shit myself. I
No,
would not be
you
able
would
to
do
do
well.
it.
You would do well. You probably make cereal or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who wants an omelet?
Yeah. Hey, that trophy that Troy's holding there, that's one that you get to hold for 1 year.
Mhm.
You have to come back, compete again. And if you don't win, you got to hand the trophy off. Obviously, you put your name on it, and then you have to add something to the trophy.
Yeah, a little flair to it.
So each year, the trophy gets bigger and bigger. So that's truly amazing. Congratulations, Troy.
Yeah, we're gonna get him. We talked to him a little bit before he won. We're gonna get him booked on the show. I think.
Yep.
Seemed like a super nice guy.
Yeah, very nice guy.
Okay. MBQA has its newest Rhinestone Cowboy, Chris Bohnemeier. He
It's
won.
Bohnemeier?
Bohnemeier?
Yeah.
Is it?
Mhm.
It looks like.
Trust me.
Okay, I trust you.
Yep.
Chris, if he's incorrect, please correct him.
Yep.
Nothing would make me happier. Yeah. Congratulations, Chris. That looks good.
It
Killing
does.
it. Yeah.
It does. That's cool.
And then the other big barbecue event that was going on that same weekend was the 5th annual When Pigs Fly Indoor Barbecue Bash. And I don't know if you guys have been following on the social medias. There's been all kinds of pictures and stuff
Yeah.
going, but quite a few from old Heath Riles. He went out there.
Congratulations, Heath.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
won. He mentioned
Won again.
yeah, 3 years in a row. He said, I've been out there 3 times, and 3 times I've won. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Boom.
Sounds like he's got a process or maybe a recipe, or I don't know. It seems like I need to do a little investigation on how this thing works.
Little.
Right.
Yeah, I
little
did see where.
some,
Yeah, I think.
reconnaissance.
Yeah. Heath has a couple of rubs coming out, so I did see that. I
Does he?
think. Yeah. I
Some
think
new
it's
ones?
some new ones. I got 3
Okay.
different rubs. I don't know if you've been on social
Oh, he's
media.
like scribbled looking. Yeah, has he showed what they are yet or no?
Yes, no,
Oh,
yes.
I didn't see. I only saw the part where they were like,
Yeah, he's got a couple of I think buffalo seasonings.
oh,
Correct.
wait, what?
Buffalo.
Like for eating buffalo or like
Come on,
buffalo
John.
wings?
Buffalo
seasoning?
wings.
No,
Okay.
it's for buffalo.
Yeah.
You want me to mute him?
Yeah,
right.
please. Thank you.
Another one,
Raul.
it's I don't know, it's like a Parmesan, buffalo Parmesan or some
Oh,
type
like
of
garlic parmesan
yeah, I don't
seasoning?
know.
That sounds amazing.
Next time I'll come with more correct
Buffalo.
information.
Yeah,
but
he
You
just
know, shut up.
you're just
James.
saying words. He's got like a buffalo parm and no.
John's
James.
hungry.
Yeah.
I am
You're
hungry.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
well, that was fun. I appreciate that. That's all I got for the Hot Off the Grill barbecue news. As always, brought to you by the MBBQA and the Barbecue News Magazine. Kel, Janet, hope you guys are feeling better.
Oh, I know, and they are. Did you see that?
Yeah,
that
I've been
Kel
messaging with him a
put
little bit.
out a video. I love the hat he had on, which is amazing.
Yeah, I had that grabbing a brisket beanie on.
I do want to give a big shout out to Duck Shining Road Cookers, who did join us at the shed this past weekend. Helped us compete in the state cook-off. He also turned into margaritas, and they were phenomenal. I can't remember the place he got. It should have been first.
They should have.
I'm saying it was rigged right now.
I think there needs to be
No, I'm just kidding.
disclaimers, and
I'm
I
just
think we
kidding.
need to know
Yeah.
that desserts. It's first time appearing, but I think we need to know that desserts are
Inclusive.
welcome into
Yeah.
taco category.
Yeah,
I think we need to know that.
we
I
didn't
think
know that.
also, I think if we need to know that if we're going to do a margarita turn in, that we can also do a pina colada turn in
Also,
as well.
you can do a sangria.
Like those are one and the same.
No, you can do a sangria turn in. You can do a
You
pina
just
colada.
have to call it margarita.
Margarita.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like a
yeah.
pina
You
colada
could do-
margarita. If you want to do like a Jack and Coke margarita, it's
daiquiri.
fine.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Love it. Hey,
It doesn't matter.
we now know, and so we're coming for you next
And
year.
here's the deal: if you're not cheating, you're not.
Trying.
That's right, guys.
That's
All right?
right.
Hold your heads high.
Okay, we got a barbecue win / barbecue fail. Got some pictures for you here too. If you guys aren't watching this on the YouTube, you should watch this on YouTube because this one is pretty funny looking. This is from the Brisket Boys. They sent us. They actually shared their post, and this is what it read: when you accidentally make smoked Gouda golf tees.
Oh,
These things are
nice.
crazy good and are definitely a treat at a party. Here's what you do: Gouda cut into 1-inch cubes, placed on a wire rack. 165 super smoke on your Traeger grills, Timberline. And now the most important step: forget that you have them in there. Wait at least 45 minutes, and then go, oh crap, I forgot the cheese. And sprint to the smoker and rescue them. Let them cool, and ta-da! Haha! It was a fun accident, and they were actually delicious. Happy week, y'all.
nice. That's a win.
Yeah, well,
That's a fail and a
The
win.
old smoked Gouda.
It's a fwin.
Oh, the old smoked Gouda golf tees trick.
Yeah,
They
where's
probably
the
taste
Brisky Boys at?
Where
Do
are
we
they?
know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not really sure where they're
Okay.
at, to be honest with you, but I know that they're winners.
That's right, guys. Hey, you know what you won? You know what you won? What did they win, John?
Sucklebuster.
Everybody wants some Suckabusters. That's right. Hey, listen, you won some your choice of Suckabusters. We like to say Chicks that Smoke if you choose them, but they've got tons of seasonings. I definitely implore you to find one. Find something you never heard of or whatever else. Give it a try. You will not be sorry.
That's right.
I love that.
If you want to send in your barbecue win, barbecue fail, barbecue recipe, barbecue story, any of these kind of things, reach out to us on any of the social medias. It's at Grab 'em in the Brisket. Pretty much everywhere you can find us. GrabEmInTheBrisket.com. You can reach out to us there. You can also call in and leave a message for us at 834.
Yep.
Oh hell, I forgot the number.
No, go ahead and say it.
Do we have the
It's-
number you can bring up for? Yeah, 434-829-2299. Thank you, Raul, coming in clutch. Yeah, or you can, like I said, leave us an email. Any of those places. And while you're at it, go get yourself some swag at the website.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, some cool shit over there.
Mm-hmm. I said, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. This is kind of a different format for a
Feels
show
backwards,
here. It
doesn't
does.
it?
Yeah.
Feels like we're just now getting cranked up. I feel like we should maybe bust out a couple more beers
Let's
and
do
just
a
keep this party
shotgun.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, when you edit this, Raul, could you just play it in reverse so it feels more normal?
No, don't
Hey,
do that.
whatever you want.
But not like those
No.
weird reverses. Yeah, where you you put on
Yeah.
some like old record and you try to
No.
listen to the devil or something like that.
No.
We don't want
just
that.
put emojis around Jan the whole time.
Right.
Nice. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
I did want to say, hey, we got a lot of help out when we were at the Shed Showdown from a lot of folks that I just want to say that I appreciate it. I just want to say thanks. Brad and Brooke were phenomenal hosts.
Amazing.
They literally just whatever you guys want, do it. And we're like, well, this is kind of weird, but okay, yes. And but not only that, the assistance from Mike Starr, Blazing Star Barbecue.
Yep.
Dude, such a tremendous help
Mhm.
out. Even to the point where we forgot our Aces Wild marinade for the steak.
Yep.
We forgot it, the Wicked Pig, and he's like, "Dude, let me go check with Eric over there at Aces Wild."
No,
And
Craig.
I'm sorry, yeah, Craig over there at Aces Wild, and I mean, sure shit, just gave us a bottle. Boom. Mike came over with the recipe as far as like, hey, do this, that, whatever, and I was like, okay, that's awesome. Shout out to
Janet and
yeah,
Kel.
Janet, correct.
Phelps, just tremendous job like they always do.
Mhm.
And with the mini conference that they had, it was listening to a peg leg porker was humbling and amazing. Just watching or hearing about his journey and the fire that he has. If that's not enough to excite you and get you charged, I don't know what it is. Especially in business. These are all business guys. Let's put that first. Barbecue is business. Competing is business. Everything is business when it comes to this, and it's no different with the seasoning side or with running a restaurant or anything else. And you can see why the ones that are successful is because they put their heart and soul in it, and they have that mentality. I can't fail. I'm not going to fail, and they plan big. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, shout out, and also a shout out to, I believe it's Kenneth with Texas Legends Barbecue.
Yep.
Yeah, he showed up right as we're doing the awards or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, I just want to come over and say, hey, how's it going? Follow you guys on social medias and all that type of stuff." So kudos to him. Thanks for coming over and saying hi. I mean,
Yeah,
it
love the
was
support.
badass.
Yeah, and we got to meet. I got to meet Stale Cracker.
Stale Cracker.
Yeah.
Bill
was cool.
Purvis, Chick Fried Barbecue. Like literally, if you get an opportunity to check out the Shed Showdown, I mean, it's something that is awesome. We need to get together a list of all the ones that competed in the Showdown.
Mhm.
You had was it Riley Reed with Steak Princess?
Riley,
Yep.
right?
Right. Yep. Steak Princess. Of course, you had
The Pork Chop Queen.
Yep.
Mhm.
Who does she compete against?
The people that made pork chops.
I don't remember his
Kids.
name. Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to get the whole list, and we're going to deep dive into this whole Shed
Yeah.
Showdown and BBQ. I think probably next week we get a little bit more time. But you're right. We ran into a lot of folks that it's fun to run into. So
Yeah. What was your favorite part of the weekend, John?
Jesus.
it wasn't the Waffle House. I'll tell you that.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the worst part? Like, I'll tell you right now before we close out of this, I am never stopping at a Whataburger outside of Texas.
That was the
It's not
worst.
happening. Like,
It was almost fight. It was like during the day time,
Yeah.
but this is like lunchtime. It was like almost a fight.
It was a Sunday.
It was a 40-minute wait time to get a burger.
never in my
Uh,
life.
And then I was walking out and I was telling people, hey man, you might want to go. And it was like 40 minutes or something. And like they just said, and they walked
Like
in.
they didn't
anyways.
believe you.
Yeah. And then
I don't
then
believe
they
you.
like about 5 minutes in, they turned around and walked out. I was
Yeah.
like, totally.
So when we originally got there, I was like on the road for several hours. I'm okay. I beeline to the bathroom. I got to pee. There was already somebody in the stall, doing their
Huffing
business,
paint,
doing
bro.
whatever.
No,
I don't
he's
even.
huffing
I don't
I
paint.
know
even-
what he was doing.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, okay, then. So I order, I sit down, then I see the cook, basically the cook coming out of the bathroom. I'm like, okay, that's who was in the stall. And then 10 minutes later, he's running back to the stall. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Probably for him, probably has a lot of sickness running around that thing. Everybody had masks on. Did you notice that?
No, but it
There's a
smelled like
7-day incubation period
Yeah.
between getting sick with the flu and everything else. And the math may work out. If Saturday, Sunday, you're feeling bad, I'm driving back that damn Whataburger. I'm telling you, man.
he
Burn it
wasn't using the
I'm gonna-
restroom. That's all I can
I'm
tell.
gonna burn it down.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. If you
Water-
burn down with
Yeah.
me,
Get your stuff together.
act of God.
Louisiana.
Yeah. Louisiana. Come on. Hey, listen, James, I know you're going to say that your famous tagline here
yeah.
in a second, but I will say I had an amazing time hanging out with you guys. It was really one for the record books. I cannot wait to do this with you again. I'm looking for the next location, next item, next thing. But again, we get to do this right here each week. I just want to say out there, thank you guys for staying with this. It's a what? I'm sorry, Raul. What are you going to point at me?
No, you're looking at the TV.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Okay, not really. I was looking at John. Yeah. So, but I just want to say, thank you so much. for hanging out with us and staying with us on this podcast. Tuffy was amazing. And again, we hope to have him back on. And yeah, just hey, thank you guys.
As always, it's been great talking barbecue with you.
Peace.
As we close out, big thanks to SmokerBuilder.com and the MBBQA for their unwavering support.
Absolutely. And cheers to Barbecue News Magazine, Sucklebusters, and Dow Strong Knives for their contributions.
And you know Yeti always has our back, and Coolie Nation ensures our drinks stay perfectly cold.
Lastly, props to Cambro Manufacturing and, of course, the Spicy Nut, the Chicks of Smoke Seasoning. Thanks to all for powering this show.
Until next time, keep smoking.